Hey there guys, and welcome back for some more NHLPA 93. Let's just go ahead and get straight on into this. So we'll turn this on, we'll unpause the game, and yeah, we'll have some fun here playing. We're right at the spot that we left off, which means that we are 1-1 now with the Whalers, and let's see if we can win this game. This would be a road game for us, I believe, or maybe a home game. I don't know, one of the two. Alright, let's get back to this. There we go. So, yeah, a lot of news going on here, stateside at least. This has been kind of a wild day. So in addition to all the talk about the storm and all that stuff, we've got all sorts of protests going on. We had a recent person who was killed up in Minneapolis a couple of hours ago. I was just watching the news, trying to sort of figure out what's happening. It's looking pretty bad. So anyway, this is a really interesting time to be in the United States of America, I'll tell you that. And it's so interesting to me. I mean, I mentioned this before. I've worked a lot abroad, including in Canada, where nothing like this was happening. And I can tell you, though, in working abroad that, you know, you kind of get used after a while to working in places where you have kind of weird stuff happening and you have some political unrest and some stuff like that. But seeing this happen in the United States really is kind of an odd thing. And, you know, I don't really like talking too much about politics because I don't feel that, you know, politics really has much of a place on a channel like this. But I do want to say that it's the thing that's odd about this is it feels also artificial, and it's artificial in a sense that, like, oh great, we lost Carbonell, great, good job guys. It feels artificial in the sense that a lot of the problems that have come up are not really problems I think that necessarily like needed to happen. That's the thing. It feels like there's a lot of escalation, a lot of people saying things, but a lot of this is just sort of ideology, and there's not sort of a lot of thinking by people who are in charge about, you know, what the proper thing to do is and what the right thing is, and, you know, how we should, you know, handle these situations where things are escalating, people are feeling really, you know, inflamed, feelings are being hurt and stuff like that. Anyway, there's not a lot of cooler heads prevailing right now, which is kind of the odd thing because, you know, so many of us have been used to that for most of our lives. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. I will say one thing, though. I don't think that you'll see protests spreading much because of this crazy weather that we're going to have. Which, by the way, it hasn't, at least here in Northern Virginia, it definitely has not snowed yet. I'm waiting for it to happen. I've got the window right in front of me here. I should show you at some point in time my desk setup. I have a window right in front of me. I can look out into the front of the house. And I actually have a bird feeder that's right above sort of like eye level where the webcam is and stuff like that, which I love watching, especially when the weather's a little bit better, so I can see the birds come over and eat and stuff like that. I don't want to wait for highlights here. Let's just go ahead and get this going. Anyway, so, you know, it's a pretty nice place to be, and I have kind of a front row seat here to any sort of crazy weather action that we might have. So we'll see exactly what takes place. Part of me honestly hopes that we have some weather that's, you know, pretty bad and keeps people inside but doesn't necessarily turn off the power, so people can come and watch some of my videos. Maybe that's a little bit too I don't know, maybe that's a little bit too selfish or something like that, but that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And this works very nicely. Well, it did work nicely. We didn't have anybody come here on offense. There we go. Somehow I've wound up with the puck in that odd position. That was not a successful attack by us. Okay, let's try this again. Well, that didn't work at all. This really is a fun game, even though the Super Nintendo version, as I've said before, has a couple of frame rate issues that you can tell, especially after you play the Genesis version. The frame rate in this game is not great, but it's still a really well designed game. Anyway, so well, this is the reason why everybody's tired. No wonder they're not playing that well. As you certainly have seen, if you haven't seen, you should go watch it. I did come out with the video today about the great, it's going to be on us. Yeah, I did something wrong there. I did come out with the video today about the 1919 Stanley Cup. Now, it's not exactly the most watched video in the history of YouTube, though it doesn't really surprise me that much. So when I was creating this, I looked around, I saw sort of what other people had done, the sort of videos that are already out there, and I know that there's not like a whole ton of views. Oh man, did you see that one? That one just sort of, that shot just sort of skirted over the top of the glove and somehow got in, so we get a shorthanded goal. Boy, oh boy, I didn't have that one on my bingo card here today. So we finally score, and let's see if we can get another one. Well, not quite. Anyway, I at least thought that the 1919 video was all right. There are some problems with it, like for example, obviously I can't use video footage because there's no video from hockey in 1919. And believe me, I went and looked to make 100% sure, and there unfortunately is not. They didn't have any video there. One of the things I didn't mention though is that all of the games from that series were played at night. Oh, I forgot. There's no time left in the period. Whoops. All of the games from that series were played at night, and it was played in, you know, the Seattle Ice Arena, which was this really, really little arena, you know, in downtown Seattle. And so lighting was probably not good enough to, you know, record even if they wanted to. That also, I think, makes it kind of remarkable that these teams would play for as long as they would play for and as intensively as they would play. If you haven't watched the video, you should watch it. It was an amazing series, right? They played under two different sets of rules, which makes it almost impossible. If you wanted to create like a 1919 season for like this game or something like that, it would be very, very difficult because you're dealing with, oh, look at that. Ah, shoot. We got all this organ music. Is the Super Nintendo incapable of playing like two different things at once? Is that the reason why we're getting nothing but this? Oh, that was a bad pass. Out of my way. Anyway, so the thing about the 1919 series is that when they would play under the Pacific Coast Hockey Association rules, they would play 7 to a side, which was the old-fashioned way. The NHL was playing 6 to a side back then. They got rid of the rover position. Similarly, the PCHA had the forward pass rule in the neutral zone, but the NHL did not. And so when they would play under the PCHA rules, there was this like definite advantage that Seattle had because they could do like the forward pass and stuff. That was a really, speaking of a forward pass, that was a really poor forward pass by me. Meanwhile, when they would play under the NHL rules, Montreal tended to win. But the game that was most famous there was, interference. No, hooking. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was going to be interference called on my guy for running into the goalie. The game that was most famous there was the long overtime game, which was game 4 of that series, which actually was played under the NHL rules, not the PCHA rules. That's the game that went through 2 overtimes and was still tied at the end. And the Seattle manager wanted to play a 3rd overtime, but couldn't quite talk the refs into doing that, unfortunately for him. But it's kind of funny because if that game had gone to a 3rd overtime and if Seattle would have won, that would have been the end of the series. And it's possible that, what was his name, Joe Hall would have never passed away because he wouldn't have been, you know, there for a game 5. It's interesting stuff there too because that series was a best of 5 series as opposed to best of 7 series, and I didn't really realize that at first. I didn't read kind of closely enough, but yeah, it was a best of 5 series that went to 6 games solely because there was that tied game. Anyway, really interesting stuff. You should go check out the video. A lot of cool stuff to see. Meanwhile, here we have emerged victorious once again, 1-0 victory. I'm starting to become a little bit better at playing this game, so we'll save the state, and probably not tomorrow, maybe the day after, we'll go ahead and get back into this. Thank you again for spending at least a couple minutes with me. I'm going to try, we'll see, I'm checking out the time, it's going to be tight. But I'm going to try to do more APA hockey. If not today, then tomorrow. I promise to do more of that beforehand. I've been doing research, so I kind of know what I'm doing now. I'll never know what I'm doing, but it's going to be fun. Anyway, talk to you later. Bye.